Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Steuben County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 78. This is the Friday, November 19th, 2021 edition of Library Connections. Kicking things off with the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week from the New York Times. At number 1, The Dark Hours by Michael Connelly. A death on New Year's Eve, an unsolved murder, and a hunt for serial rapists bring Bosch and Ballard back together. At number 2, The Judge's List by John Grisham, the second book in the Whistler series. Investigator Lacey Stoltz goes after a serial killer and closes in on a sitting judge. At number 3, The Stranger in the Lifeboat by Mitcha Baum. After a ship explodes, 10 people, struggling to survive, pull a man who claims to be the Lord out of the sea. At number 4, Never by Ken Follett. Tensions escalate around the globe as President Pauline Green works to prevent a world war. Wow. Well, we certainly hope she's successful. I guess we'll have to read the book to find out. But I digress. At number 5, Better Off Dead by Lee Child and Andrew Child, the 26th book in the Jack Reacher series. Reacher helps an FBI agent look for her missing brother and takes on a foe named Denendocker. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week. At number 1, Will by Will Smith with Mark Manson. The actor, producer, and musician tells his life story and relays lessons he's learned along the way. At number 2, The Dawn of Everything by David Graeber and David Wengrow. A reinvestigation of social evolution and suggestions for new ways of organizing society. At number 3, The President and the Freedom Fighter by Brian Kilmeade. The Fox News host gives an account of the relationship between Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. At number 4, The Storyteller by David Grohl, a memoir by the musician known for his work with Foo Fighters and Nirvana. And at number 5, The Lyrics, 1956 to the Present by Paul McCartney, a 2-volume celebration of 154 songs with handwritten texts, paintings, and photographs from the songwriter's archive. And as Thanksgiving is coming up this next week, happy Thanksgiving. I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that November is Native American Heritage Month. We are celebrating the Thanksgiving and general holidays, and also Native American Heritage Month with special collections of eBooks and audiobooks in both the digital catalog and Hoopla. I urge you to check them out. Our first recommended read of the week is a holiday title, and I promise not to go hog wild with holiday titles during this holiday season, but I will recommend a few between now and mid-December. And the first is the new Jenny Colgan novel, The Christmas Bookshop. Not surprisingly, being a librarian, I like novels that have bookshop in the title and in the plot. So, The Christmas Bookshop, a novel by Jenny Colgan. Colgan, who's had Christmas hits for 4 years running, introduces us to Carmen, who is just out of a job and not exactly thrilled to be moving in with her has-it-all sister, Sophia, in Edinburgh. Sophia isn't thrilled either, but with another baby on the way, she could use the help. And she's got a client who needs a retail assistant for his backwater bookstore. Can Carmen bring sparkle to the store in time for the Christmas sales rush? And what about that classic good boy, bad boy decision she must make regarding romance? You'll have to read the Christmas Bookshop to find out what happens. That last part, of course, is an ad lib, but the review is from Library Journal. And if you're looking for a light holiday book, check out the Christmas Bookshop. Our second recommended read for this week is the new Louise Erdrich novel, The Sentence. Pulitzer Prize winner Erdrich returns with a scintillating story about a motley group of Native American booksellers haunted by the spirit of a customer. In 2019 Minneapolis, Cokie, a formerly incarcerated woman, is visited at a bookstore by the ghost of Flora, a white woman with a problematic past. Despite being a dedicated ally of myriad Native causes, Flora fabricated a family lineage linking her to various indigenous groups, including Dakota and Ojibwe. Many of the story's characters reckon with both personal and ancestral hauntings. Cokie, with a childhood of neglect and her time in prison for unknowingly trafficking drugs, her husband Pollux, a former tribal police officer, confronts his past experiences of using force after the murder of George Floyd. And Asma, a college student of Ojibwe and Dakota descent, pieces together an ominous historical manuscript depicting the abduction of a 19th century Ojibwe Cree woman, which Flora's daughter brought to the store. As the COVID pandemic takes hold and the store pivots to mail orders, several of the characters join the protests against police brutality. More than a gripping ghost story, this offers profound insights into the effects of the global pandemic and the collateral damage of systemic racism. It adds up to one of Erdrich's most sprawling and illuminating works to date. And that is the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. Both of our audiobook recommendations for this week focus on empowering stories of pioneering female journalists. The first is the audiobook Cokie, A Life Well Lived, authored by Stephen V. Roberts, who is Cokie's widower. The audio is narrated by the author, and in the book and the audio, Roberts offers a moving testimony of the remarkable life and legacy of his wife, trailblazing journalist Cokie. Through depictions of her faith, family, work, writing, and friendships, Roberts shares engrossing anecdotes about his partner from their over 50 years together, as she crashed through glass ceilings with her impressive mind, impish wit, and infectious laugh. As the daughter of powerful Louisiana politicians, her mother, Lindy Boggs, succeeded her husband Hal in Congress in 1973 after his death in a plane crash. Politics and current events were a second language for Cokie. She later parlayed that fluency into a career as a highly respected journalist who covered Washington, D.C. for NPR and ABC, and who was unafraid to speak truth to power and ask the tough questions. In addition to the early challenges he and Cokie encountered, dating as an interfaith couple, in the face of resistance from their Jewish and Catholic parents respectively, Roberts describes with admiration how, notwithstanding the constant demands and stresses of work, Cokie managed to be a devoted friend in times of need, as well as an attentive wife and mother, and best-selling author of histories that restored significant women to their merited prominence in the U.S.'s founding. This loving tribute is likely to gain the celebrated journalist a whole new crop of fans. And that's the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. And that's on my reading list. As soon as I get the time, I'm going to read it. But I'm sure the audiobook will be very well done, particularly as it's narrated by the author. And remember I said that both the audio recommendations this week were going to be about prominent female journalists. Well, here's the second one. It's the new Katie Couric book, Going There. This one, too, is narrated by the author. For more than 40 years, Katie Couric has been an iconic presence in the media world. In her brutally honest, hilarious, heartbreaking memoir, she reveals what was going on behind the scenes of her sometimes tumultuous personal and professional life, a story she's never shared until now. Of the medium she loves, the one that made her a household name, she says, television can put you in a box. The flat screen can flatten. On TV, you are larger than life, but smaller too. It's not the whole story, and it's not the whole me. This book is. And that's a very short review of the book from the publisher. It's getting good reviews, but every full review I saw was really, really long, and we'd be here until Thanksgiving, as I told you about it. So, Going There by Katie Couric and Cokie by Stephen Roberts, two top-notch new audios and books about female journalists who empowered the rest of us by their trailblazing work. Moving on to our streaming recommendations, our first recommendation for this week is the new film Finch, which is directed by Miguel Sopachnik and stars Tom Hanks. Even now, after surviving more than 100 years and almost as many supposed deaths, the movies are still full of surprises. Case in point, at a time when feature-length sci-fi is dominated by franchise spectacle, someone made a tender, quiet, and terrifically affecting post-apocalyptic drama. Here, Tom Hanks plays a dying engineer named Finch Weinberg, who builds a robot to care for his rescue dog once he's gone. That isn't even the strange part. No, the strange part is that Finch's creation, a sentient Hertzfeldian 9-foot can opener who dubs himself Jeff after his AI formatting, is interrupted by the superstorm that sends this story on a road trip from St. Louis to San Francisco. The robot is voiced and motion captured by Caleb Landry Jones, an actor who's always seemed more alien than android. He nevertheless, or perhaps directly because of that, delivers a heartfelt and consistently hilarious performance that elevates Jeff alongside the likes of Gort, R2-D2, and Fritz Lang's Mech in the pantheon of cinema's greatest Full Metal characters. In a sweet little film that's long on bittersweet feeling and refreshingly short on contrived twists, that's one thing this critic never saw coming. And that's the IndieWire review. So if you like thoughtful, intelligent sci-fi movies without a whole lot of slam bam special effects, check this one out. Our second streaming recommendation for this week is the 1944 classic Meet Me in St. Louis, directed by Vincent Minnelli and starring Judy Garland, Margaret O'Brien, and Mary Astor. Because it spans an entire year, marked by the seasons, this classic MGM musical is perfect for any time of year. But its fall and winter sequences remain its most memorable. The portrait of a St. Louis autumn and inexplicably terrifying Halloween for Tootie is unforgettable, and it manages that transition from cold fall nights to the magic of the holiday season with a deft hand, proving to be the perfect November transition film. The movie follows the Smith family as they face the prospect of leaving their beloved home in St. Louis and uprooting from everything they know, including burgeoning romances, at the turn of the century. And that, of course, is the turn of the 20th century. The movie is a charming musical and one of Judy Garland's best roles, and it's also a stirring testament to family and the ties that bind. And I probably don't need to say it, but it's a very upbeat film. That review is from Entertainment Weekly. And our third streaming recommendation for this week is the new film Passing, which is a Netflix original. It's directed by Rebecca Hall and stars Tessa Thompson, Ruth Negga, and Andre Holland. Rebecca Hall's luminous Passing is a bitterly beautiful adaptation of Nella Larsen's 1929 novel about racial boundaries and the act of crossing them. The film is set at the height of the Harlem Renaissance. Tessa Thompson and Ruth Negga star as childhood friends whose relationship takes on radically different contours when one of them marries into the toxic folds of white society under the guise that she was born there. IndieWire's Kate Erbland called it a calling card work that's as beautiful and bruising as the book that inspired it. Her review noted that Hall, like Larsen, hails from a mixed background, and her own experiences with racial presentation and expectation help root a complicated story that resists any and all hammy or heavy-handed twists. And finally, our Hoopla recommendation for this week. And this week I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to recommend a holiday collection instead of a specific title. Hoopla has a 46 title collection called Heartwarming Holiday Romance. So if you're in the mood for a romance in keeping with the season, you can check out any one of these 46 titles on demand, also known as instant checkout. You can check them out through the Hoopla app, or you could go to hoopladigital.com on a computer and check them out that way. Most people don't read on a computer, but you can if you want to. And speaking of holiday collections, just as a bonus, I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear me say that Libby too has holiday collections. Libby, the online version of which is called the Digital Catalog, has several fun holiday collections, including a holiday audio collection. At the left side of your screen, you see the Digital Catalog, that is the web version of Libby, because just like with Hoopla, you can indeed check out eBooks and audiobooks and enjoy them on your computer if you'd like to do so. And the two photos to the right there show you some of the holiday collections as they appear in the Libby app. There's even one for holiday mysteries. And there's 50 titles there, so check out the holiday collections through both Hoopla and Libby. Library Connections videos premiere on Facebook Fridays at 1 p.m. and may also be found on the Southeast Steuben County Library's YouTube channel. If you have questions about this weekly videocast, let me know. You could send me an email at reimerl@stls.org and I'll get back to you. And of course, you can always call the library and I'll get to that in just a moment. Library hours the week of November 22nd, that of course is Thanksgiving week, We're open Monday through Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll be closed on Thursday, November 25th, in observance of Thanksgiving. We'll be closed on Friday and Saturday, November 26th and 7th for a deep cleaning. And we are always closed on Sundays. So when you come to visit us on Monday, November 29th, it will be sparkly clean in Library Land. The library's website is found at ssclibrary.org. You can find a whole host of helpful information on our website. You can access our catalogs, Hoopla, Libby, and StarCat, which is the catalog of physical materials. You can make a curbside appointment, check our calendar of events, and do much more through our website. StarCat. StarCat is the catalog of physical library materials available to all card holders of the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System, which encompasses the public libraries in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. And the companion app for StarCat, should you wish to install it on your mobile device for ease of access to the catalog, it's called Bookmine, Bookmyne, and you can find that in your app store. StarCat is found online at starcat, starcat.stls.org. The digital catalog and its companion app Libby feature eBooks, audiobooks, and a handful of streaming videos. You can find the digital catalog online at stls.overdrive.com, and the app called Libby, Libby, is available through your app store. Hoopla. The Hoopla catalog features ebooks, comic books, full-length albums, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for instant checkout for Southeast Steuben County Library card holders, with a maximum checkout of 10 titles per month. Communicating with the library. If you have questions about library materials or services, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. Our telephone number is area code 607-936-3713. You can also connect with the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Library blogs. The library has 5 blogs, all of which feature interesting information, and they are in alphabetical order. The Book Club for Adults blog, which is found at ssclbook.club and features, you guessed it, information on the library's monthly adult book club, or Book Club for Adults, because we're not racy. The second blog is the Corning NY History blog, which is a local history blog found at corningnyhistory.com. Our third blog is Creation Stationery, the Makerspace blog, which is found at creationstationery.com. Our fourth blog is Story Musings, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, and it's found at storymusings.blogspot.com. And finally, we have Tech and Book Talk, a readers, viewers, and listeners advisory blog, which occasionally features helpful personal tech tips. You can find that at sscltech.com. And briefly, here are the references for this week. And that's the program for this week. Because Thanksgiving is next week, I'll be back in 2 weeks with a new edition of Library Connections. Have a great week and a great Thanksgiving.